Hey guys, Mr. Dancers here.
Join us for an unforgettable night of rhythm and culture at the Kaumba Diaspora Gala, featuring a mesmerizing dance showcase by us celebrating Zambian tradition. Save the date, April 13, 2024, and make your way to the Park Plaza Tower on North Central Expressway, Dallas, Texas.
Immerse yourself in the vibrant energy as we bring the spirit of Zambia to life on stage. Don't miss this spectacular event and get your tickets now and be part of a celebration like no other.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good night, depending on where you are watching us from. My name is Alan Charlie Mlenga, hence AC Mlenga, and welcome to Zambia Blog Talk Radio. Today, Pastor Nathan is not able to be with us because obviously, as most of you will know who follow us on ZBTR, he's been dealing with some family issues, and also he just needed a well-deserved rest. This man is committed. He comes in every single weekend for years and years. So sometimes he'll take a little break like this, but we're praying for you, Pastor Nathan, standing with you. And also my dear sister Matilda is also away attending to some personal situations, but she is on standby. She said, if you need me, call me. So we look forward to interacting with you, Mama Matilda. Please call us in. And today, depending on how the program goes, we may add a call-in feature and we'll test it out, time permitting. Today, we are once again continuing in our look at the issues of mental health. This is a subject which in our community, it's almost been like it's a taboo, you know. If somebody in your community or in your family has any kind of mental issues, it's one of those issues that we just pretend it doesn't exist. We kind of stick our heads in the sand and pretend it's not there. You never address it. You never talk about it. You know, and you try to avoid that subject. However, it is important that we begin to break some of these barriers and begin to educate ourselves, begin to inform ourselves, so that we take the stigma off, so that we can help our brothers and sisters, even ourselves. Sometimes we have challenges that are mental, have to do with our minds and where we are. How do we help myself? How do I maintain a healthy mental state throughout, so that we can thrive in life and we can do well? So today we are privileged to have an opportunity to take a peek behind the curtains as we feature a young lady who I have known personally for quite a while. But she's very, very inspiring. She has a very telling and compelling story. And she's someone who you would never have thought they can be affected mentally in that way. And so the title for today, we are calling it Thriving in the Face of Mental Illness and a Traumatic Past, a Living Testimony. And this young lady, as you will see as we go on, is truly, truly a living testimony, not just of the goodness of God, but also of resilience, of the importance of medical health or medical help. So I'm looking forward to the program. We're going to have a good chance to look behind the curtains in what goes on and what people experience. Joining me today is going to be Miss Tinta. And as you know, welcome, Tinta. Most of you have met her during the past programs that we've done. She's a psychiatric
provider.
Yes, I hope I got it. Tell us a little bit about what you are and what you do, just so that we always butcher your profession. So
For sure. I'm a psych provider, and I have a nursing background with it. And I do have a master's degree in it. I've been in the healthcare industry for 19 years and practicing in my role for going on 3 years now. I do own my own practice, just transitioned, and you on the other end, you've heard some of those, oh my goodness, they're growing pains, but they are
Yes.
awesome growing pains. I'm so passionate about what I do, and especially this topic that we have today. Most of the times I'm like, oh, nervous. Let me look at this, but I feel at home. It's like this is what I am made for. So I'm excited actually to be here today. Thank you.
You are very brave. You are very brave. First of all, the area that you've chosen, and later on to go into your own private practice. But we're proud of you as we get to know you more and more, and kind of taking a peek behind the curtain and seeing what's involved. It is pretty challenging, but also inspiring. One day we'll let the audience go behind the curtains of exactly what you do, some of the personal things, that how you cope. It's going to be powerful. But we have Miss Trudy Kaumba with us today, and I'm looking forward to speaking with her. Trudy, welcome, and how are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. How are you?
Great. How is Zambia?
And how are you, Miss?
Yeah. Audience, you're gonna be patient with us. You know how it is in Zambia. Around about this time, people are getting ready to go home, and our internet there, plus the load shedding, so our technical difficulties. But we will do our very best to make sure that we carry the program along. There you are.
Sorry about that. The network is really bad today.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. Very nice to meet you.
Same here. Good to see you, Madam Tinta.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. I love the African wear in the background. That's a quick trip to Zambia.
Thank you. Oh, yes. I'm at the office, actually. I'm at the office. So, yeah, there's some things behind.
Awesome.
Trudy, I have known you for, wow. We're going just over 20 years around there. And I remember the very first time I met you. You're just so inspiring to us. But I wanted to just find out from you, how are you and like, how are you doing?
I'm very fine, and I would say God has been gracious to me. It's very difficult to say how thankful I am. Words are not enough to really say what I feel and what God has done for me. I'm very well, and all is well.
Amen. Amen. Well, maybe just so that we can get the audience and some of those who don't know you to see who learn a little bit about you. Who is Trudy Kaumba Fuller? And also, where does the Fuller come from? Because the last time we talked to you, Trudy Kaumba, but who are you, and where's the Fuller coming from?
Trudy Kaumba is a young lady that loves the Lord. I'm born and bred in Zambia. I'm the second born in a family of 3 ladies. And I'm a fashion designer. I was supposed to do some music at some point. I stopped, but I'm hoping to start soon. I don't know when, but I know sometime in the future I'll do some music. And what else do I do? I do quite a lot of things, but I would only talk about my designing. I'm a fashion designer.
That's
And
awesome.
Fuller is a name that I've gotten from my husband. I recently got married last year, so that's where the Fuller comes from.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's so good here. Well, congratulations. So you are an entrepreneur, a business lady. At some time you did music. I will tell you that the one song that you guys did in your group that you were with literally saved my life, because when I got here, my mother just passed. And it is the song that talks about Muiladila, Mwemanandi, Ekonjile, that song. And I can't find it anywhere. I used to have a cassette. Yeah, it was a cassette player that I took a recording of it. I took it with me when I came from Zambia to here. You know, you remember that song, right?
Unfortunately, I didn't get everything you were saying. You were breaking a lot, so I don't know if it's
Oh,
from my end or it's from there.
possibly from your end because you froze a little bit. I was saying in your singing time, there was this. Yeah, they did a song that I can't barely remember. It was Muiladila and talks about us not crying. The mother or the friend that had, I think it's the mother who had passed on, had gone to be with the Lord, and she was saying, "Don't cry. I am good. I'm safe in the arms of the Lord." So that song was very therapeutic for me. Um, and that's, I guess that's where she mentions that she is coming for. At one time she was supposed to do music, and it's still in there. So while we working on the technical aspect, Ms. Mutinta, Trudy is someone that's had a mental breakdown, and so as we go along, we would like to kind of like understand exactly what it is from her point of view, but also from your point of view as a professional, as a practitioner in the field. You know. So, Trudy, I think let's
Uh,
go ahead.
I can't I can't hear what you're saying, so I don't know if it's my network or it's you. So I'm not too sure.
Okay. Maybe what you can do for us for a minute, either log off and then log on. Derek would in the background will try and put you back on, see if we get a better connection. But you're also breaking the signal is going in and out. You find that buffering symbol going on. But for now, we can hear you. So can you hear us?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay. Oh wow. Um, Tinta, maybe you explain to us while we were working on technical things. What are like I know that in mental health, every time somebody says, "Oh, you hear anything mental," instantly we go to they are full blown insane, or in we've used language in the past that now, as I'm getting more and more sensitized to the subject of mental health, I really don't like using the words like, they are lunatic, or language say adipena ni ofunta. you know what exactly is it, and who should be on the lookout for?
Absolutely. I cringe these days, when I hear Wofun Dawa Pena, and for some reason it doesn't. I think I run away so much that it doesn't connect. So, I mean, mental illnesses, they're so prevalent. And most of the times when we think about it, we think about the worst, right? You
Mhm.
know, mental illnesses could be just anxiety. And what is anxiety? It's the palpitation of, some people get palpitation of the heart. Some people, they have the racing thoughts, always worrying that something is going to go wrong, one thought after the other. And if you're having symptoms like that, focus is an issue. So are you going to thrive at work? No, you find yourself staring at the screen. If you work in the office and not being accomplished, your performance at work goes down. If it's a student, the grades go down, because of lack of concentration, lack of sleep or disturbed sleep, either oversleeping. or not sleeping at all. That's part of the anxiety. So it's just a collection of these characteristics that make up a disorder. Now, a little bit of that, a little bit of adrenaline is good, right? So
Yeah.
too much of these things, that's really what kind of leads us to interruption in every day-to-day kind of activity where you're not performing well at home or at work or at school. Then that becomes a disorder. It's a whole range of disorders, from simple anxiety to major depressive disorder to serious mental illnesses, which are schizophrenia and bipolar 1. There's bipolar 2, which is less severe, but schizophrenia, bipolar 1 are the more severe ones. And, not recently, it's been there, but, they question it sometimes. Schizoaffective disorder, which encompasses both
Okay.
psychosis, bipolar, and the depression in it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Trudy, where you are back with us, are
Can hear
you?
you now.
Can you hear us now? Oh, she's still frozen. Okay. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. Well, then I think let's just jump straight into things. But I did want to know, where are you? Where is your business located, and what exactly are you involved in? How can people find you?
I'm in Lusaka. I operate from town, right opposite Findeco House. There's a place called Forestry. Just when you enter Forestry, when you're going in the car park, that's where the offices are. I'm working at the premises of Families and Nations. That's where I'm found.
Okay.
And yes.
Okay. And what exactly is your business? I know we can see the chitenges in the background. What, for those that don't know?
I'm a fashion designer, so I'm known as True Designs, and I am known for mixing wool and chitenges. So after I got mentally ill, what I discovered was, after reaching rock bottom, it was very difficult for me to come back and be the Trudy that I was. So I've come up with a new collection I'm calling Purpose. And this collection, I pick pieces and join them and come up with an outfit, because I've realized that mental health awareness is not so much, although we are improving in Zambia. So this is one way I'm trying to improve myself as a designer with a mental health condition. And this new collection is something that I'm working on. It's not yet out there like True Designs, but it's coming up. So I do that.
Awesome. And how can people find you on Facebook? You are, or if people want to reach out to you for the designs and stuff?
On Facebook, I use Trudy's Kaumba Fula. All my pages are, the fashion pages, I'm no longer using them because, like I said, after my mental illness, a lot of things went down. So I just had to maintain my Facebook account. So you can look for Trudy Kaumba Fula.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, one of my the most favorite outfits is my wife has is one that you made for her when we were coming. I know you gave her a few pieces, and she's been wearing that thing for years. The black with the you made some design. She wore them for years, up until probably even as late as maybe the last year or two. I've seen her in it once or twice, but that's how good. And that's like almost 20 years of the same design, not going out of fashion.
Wow.
So I know the quality of your work. But let's jump into things straight away. So when and how do you and your family, as you know, audience, we are talking about striving in the face of mental illness. So at what point do you realize that something is wrong? You, your family members, your close friends, when do they say, hey, what's going on here?
For me, no one realized, because even myself, I didn't know that I had gone into deep depression and it was so severe. I lost land. Apparently, I was in Chavuma where I was raising money to go and build in Livingstone. Upon reaching Livingstone, I discovered that my land had been sold, and I went into depression because at the time I couldn't take any pressure. It's like my mind got tired of going through things. And one day I was just on the phone with a friend, and I just felt electrocuted. I fell down, started crawling. Before I knew it, I started backing. And before I knew it, I was undressing. So there were no warnings. Although maybe they were there, I didn't notice them. So I just discovered that I had gotten mentally ill. Later, after I was even recovering, I was just getting back my sanity. When I got mentally ill, I didn't even know that I was mentally ill.
So, but what about when you look at maybe your sister, close friends, people that you interact with day to day? Looking back, have they spoken about maybe there was a sign that we missed? Maybe do you have these conversations with
The
anyone?
only time Not really. The only time I remember concerning the same, the only time I remember is the person I was teaching how to sew. She just noticed that I started spending time alone. I stopped sweeping the house. I think that's when the depression kicked in. She was worried every time she would come and sweep for me, but we did not monitor things, and it was too late to realize and maybe to get counsel or anything. But now, yes, we rewind life and we talk about it now with my sister, but back then we didn't.
Oh wow, yeah, okay. Now you are also a believer, born again, child of God,
Yeah.
and we know you're someone that loves the Lord. So, how then does somebody that believes in Jesus, loves the Lord, find themselves with a mental illness? I thought, that's a question that most
Wow.
most of us, especially in the born again world, will ask it.
Well, for me, I say mental health is everything to do with the brain. So mental health and mental disorders or mental illness, it's not just about the mentally ill. As long as you have a brain, it can happen to you. This it's unplanned, so you don't know when it comes. So yes, as a believer, I got mentally ill, and a lot happened. Because I did not take care at some point, and because my upbringing was not so good, so it happened. I had a mental breakdown as a believer, yes.
Okay, so earlier you mentioned something about you lost a lot of land, and then you also talked about you got tired. It's almost like you got tired of losing too many things. In looking back, what is some of that sequence that led up to your mental breakdown?
Yes, losing land is something that brought me into depression, because it was very difficult to fight and try to get my land back. I didn't know what to do, because I reached a point where I felt I had been through enough, and the only thing I was doing is watching and waiting to be told whether I was going to be given land elsewhere or not. So I would say that triggered the mental breakdown.
Okay.
I'm curious to know, how old were you when you first?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
she's breaking down. But I think that you can speak to in talking over the past programs that we've done. I'm realizing that there's almost like a pattern of traumatic events that leads to somebody's being mentally, or rather their mind just kind of breaking down. Is
Right.
there such a thing as a limit?
No, you're absolutely right. So there was a preceding traumatic event that occurred, and she does say, but Trudy, you were talking about other events that took place in your life, and probably losing the land was just what pushed her over the edge, and especially in environments where we don't have a lot of resources. and you get you acquire this property that you've worked so hard on, and then you lose it. And getting over that, remember that traumatic sequence that we talked about. And
Yes.
depression is it, right? That was our number 4. And the sadness that it happened, you bargain, what if I had done that? What if I hadn't paid? What made me believe that he would, so she probably went through all those sequences and and that's grief, then got to the depression part and just got stuck on that. And when depression is not addressed and it continues to get worse, you can have psychosis. So that's really what happened. You got in a major depressive disorder. That's what you developed, with psychosis features, which is hallucinations, like how altered mental reality, seeing things, hearing things, be it positive symptoms like talkativeness, disrobing, and difficult to redirect and things like that. So trauma has a lot to do with it, and those things are interconnected.
Okay. Well, Trudy, maybe let me ask, what exactly were you diagnosed with?
Uh-oh.
Oh, we can't hear you, Trudy. Are you muted?
Oh, there she is.
I was muted.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I was
Yes, so
saying
I
what?
was told it was, yes, I was told it was depression at first, then later I was told it was schizophrenia.
How
Okay.
old were you?
I was in 2018, I'm 41 now. In 2018, I was how old? I can't remember.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Now we you are being a Christian, obviously you're involved in the church, you go to church and you have a church community. And how were you received from that community, like from church, after, and how did the church respond, your church family, how did they respond to your diagnosis?
Because I was moved from Livingstone, where I used to go to church, I came to Lusaka, where the church I was going to was not there. So I was just taken to different pastors. I went to different altars, drank different anointing oils, and
So when you say
different
you were
prayers
taken to
were
different
offered.
pastors, it was for prayer or
Yes, for
deliverance, or what
prayer.
was it?
So I did. It was everything, because no one knew what was happening to me. Others were prophesying that I had gotten into Satanism, so they were casting out demons. Some were saying my friend initiated me into Satanism. A lot of prophecies came out. Some said I had drunk a drink that led into my mental illness. Others were saying I was bewitched. So a lot of things were said. And when it comes to church, there was so much that I went through, and part of it I'm still healing, because some of the things that were said were not so good. And yes, so prayers were offered, and I went to different pastors. So I didn't have one pastor that I went to, because my sister really wanted me to get well. So she took me to everywhere she thought I would get help.
Okay. Yeah. So, but then at what point do you say, okay, maybe prayer is not working, let's go to Chainama, or let's seek medical
We were
help?
doing both.
You were doing both.
My sister was doing, yeah, she was doing both. The first thing they did after they brought me from Livingstone is they took me straight to Chainama. When they noticed I was talking and seeing visions, hearing voices, so they thought this was a Chainama case, and I was taken there. So I was on medication, but at some point I decided to stop medication, so I would have episodes after that. So yes, they did both. They did both church and hospital.
Okay.
Was there an indication of what was working during that process? I'm curious to know.
All I remember is that the medication was helping. Every time I would be on medication, I would have less episodes, and I would sleep. Although there was a time when it was so severe that we couldn't sleep the whole year. I couldn't sleep. I would just be talking the whole night, and we would not sleep almost a year. It was very difficult. But after keeping on taking the medication, things were better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. You are so brave. I admire you. I really, really do. And I think the first episode that we had, we talked about what drove me to doing what I do. It's because of you, and knowing that, there's this struggle of where do we go, and the stigma that surrounds Chainama. Because when we think about mental illnesses, we think about, someone just running in the street and not looking, put together. And to see you, a Zambian beautiful woman, saying, I have mental illnesses and I've been through the trenches and I did seek the help that I needed, be it at church or at the hospital. And I found my way, and I'm here still standing.
Amen.
That is something to be admired. And,
Viewers,
I'm grateful.
thank you. You are joining us on Zambia Blog Talk Radio, and thank you so much for joining us. And we are looking at thriving in the face of mental illness and a traumatic past. A living testimony. A living testimony is because there are people who are living through, and their lifestyle is a testament to what the fact that despite the diagnosis, you can have a productive, healthy life and be able to thrive. So today we are privileged to be taking a break, or rather a look behind the curtain, so to speak, into the life of Trudy Kaumba. We are going to go to a commercial. As you well know, we have the Kaumba ceremony for the very first time being celebrated here in the United States in Dallas, Texas. Please make your way, and we are as we run the commercial now, Derek, you'll be able to see, audience viewers, you'll be able to see where to buy tickets and any details that you need to come and be a part of the Kaumba ceremony being celebrated here in the United States of America, in Dallas, Texas.
Are you ready to start your own show? Look no further than Zambia Blog Talk Radio TV's unbeatable hosting packages. We have hosting packages for all your live streaming needs. Introducing our basic, standard, and premium plans designed to fit your show's unique needs. With our basic plan, you get hosting and streaming only to Zambia Blog Talk Radio TV platforms, technical support, and a full hour of captivating content. Choose our standard plan, and you'll not only enjoy everything in the basic plan, but also receive promotions on our Facebook page and the freedom to stream to your personal platform, Facebook or YouTube. Your show, your choice. And for those who demand the best, our premium plan offers all the benefits of the basic and standard plans, plus the ability to multi-stream to your preferred platforms. That's right, the spotlight's on you. But wait, there's more. Are you planning an unforgettable event? Our events package is your ticket to flawless live streaming. From weddings to conferences, we make every moment count. Ready to shine on Zambia Blog Talk Radio TV. Reach out to us today at zbtr2009@gmail.com for questions, inquiries, or to create a custom one-time show package. Remember, at Zambia Blog Talk Radio TV, your success is our mission. All fees are subject to periodic review and change, ensuring you always get the best value. So, what are you waiting for? Let's make your show a sensation only on Zambia Blog Talk Radio TV. Zambia Blog Talk Radio TV, where vision comes to life. Follow our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Zambia Blog Radio, or visit our website at www.zbtr2009.wixsite.com/ZBTR TV. Don't miss this opportunity to shine on ZBTR TV, where your vision comes to life.
us for an unforgettable night of rhythm and culture at the Kaumba Diaspora Gala, featuring a mesmerizing dance showcase by us celebrating Zambian tradition. Save the date, April 13th, 2024, and make your way to the Park Plaza Tower on North Central Expressway, Dallas, Texas.
Immerse yourself in the vibrant energy as we bring the spirit of Zambia to life on stage. Don't miss this spectacular event and get your tickets now and be part of a celebration like no other.
Litumezi
Welcome back, viewers. From some of our viewers, Amwansa Peacoats is watching from Indianapolis. Thank you so much. There's a Trudy Fuller. So always proud of you. We have been on this journey for a long time. Speak your truth. And then also from our Faith Kalue, she's watching from Lusaka, Zambia. If viewers, those of us that are watching us, if you have any comments or any question that you'd like to ask, please feel free to go in the comment section there and jot them down, and we'll be able to attend to them. Now, truly, I am curious. Like we said, we're trying to take a look behind the curtains, the life of somebody like you. Now, you had begun at this point. You were gaining traction in Zambia. You're gaining notoriety. You had your fashion line, that you were producing. So you were known even in the pageant circles, the fashion circles in Zambia. They know who Trudy is. So how were you received by your peers, your people in the fashion industry, your in business as well, your clients? How was that experience for you?
Well, one prayer my sister prayed after I got sick, she said, Lord, hide her, let people not know, because if they know, it will be very difficult for her to bounce back. And really, God honored her prayer. From 2018 to the time I gained my sanity back, very few people knew I had gotten mentally ill. Only a few of my models, and they made sure it was a secret. None of them publicized. None of them shared with the public that I had gotten mentally ill. The few that knew really looked out for me until the time I got my sanity back. So the public didn't know that I had gotten mentally ill. So there was not so much stigma that I had to work on concerning the public, no. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Well, because I remember on one of your programs, I think I read or heard you say somewhere that one of the things that got you really concerned was when you found yourself picking food, digging through it, trash for food.
Yes, at some point, when I was in an episode, I was passing through Lima Tower, and then there were dustbins. No one knew me. You couldn't recognize me on that day because I really looked like a mad person. I was wearing very big shorts with a very big t-shirts. I was barefooted, and I was picking food in the dustbin. No one noticed. When you're mentally ill, people don't pay attention to notice who it is, or maybe it's the way I was looking, because I had really lost the beauty. I was looking very funny, and no one could recognize me anyway. So no one paid attention to what I was doing, and it just passed like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Where are you now? How are you feeling, really, as far as your mental illness is concerned?
I've had to adjust a lot in a lot of things. I take care of myself. So when you say, where am I? I'm in a far much better place. It's a new place to be, but it's also mind-blowing, because there are a lot of things that I'm discovering about myself, about my calling, and why maybe God allowed me to go through what I went through, because there are so many people that are going through similar things like I went through. So if I didn't go through that, I would not be able to talk to them and encourage them. So where I am, I would say it's ministry oriented, so to speak. So I'm able to speak in people's lives, and it's a joy. So That's where I am. I'm in a better place because I've accepted this happened to me, and I'm living a day as it comes, and I'm living in the purpose of God, because after my mental breakdown, when I reached rock bottom, that's when I discovered my full calling. I thought I had known who I was before, but after mental illness, I just discovered some potentials, some things I was not able to do before, which I'm able to do now.
Wow. What message do you have for people experiencing this and hiding it and not knowing how to, maneuver and go find help? And, there are some people that even don't have the sister that you had to 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 help you find that. What message would you give them?
All I would say is mental health and mental illness, they are two different things. When you have a mental health disorder and when you have a mental illness, it's not the same. So mental health is actually taking care of yourself daily, because this has to do with your feelings, your thought life, and your actions. It's the same thing for a person that has a mental illness like myself. The way I feel, the way I think, and the way I act, it all starts with a thought. When a thought is negative, your emotions will change, your actions will follow suit. So some people act the way they act because of certain things they are thinking about or what they've gone through. So for me, my message is to people that have trauma, past traumas. Find someone to talk to. Talk about your pain. Let it out. For me, the problem was that I was bottling things out. Bottling things out can cause a mental breakdown, like I did. But you need to find someone to talk to. It may not be a counselor if you can't afford. Talk to a sister. Just to talk to people about things that bother you. And when you talk, it helps you take out the pain, and like letting it just in yourself. So all I would say is find someone to talk to.
Wow. Do you have like no, before I ask that, what about you because I know you kind of lived with your sister. What was her
Yes.
experience, and those that were closest around you, your caregivers? What was their experience, and how are they how did they manage? How are they doing today?
For my sister, it was very bad. I made her go through a lot, and to a point where she felt she wanted to take her own life because she felt the burden was too much on her. She received a bit of support from other family members, but it was not so much. So it's like she felt she was all alone, and it was a burden she had to carry on her shoulders alone. I remember calling her a witch at some point because the voices in me were telling me she's the one who's bewitched me. So you can imagine people knowing that I called her a witch, and they started looking at her with a certain eye. She went through that pain alone. After I got mentally stable, I had to do a bit of damage control. But even after doing damage control,
Control,
what I
how?
feel is as I had to explain to her the things I was feeling while I was sick, and what made me say the things I was saying, what made me act the way I was acting, because I had to make her understand, to say I was not in my rightful mind for me to say, for example, to say that she had bewitched me, because I was calling people and telling them that she's the one who's bewitching me. So I had to explain to them how it happened and how I got the voices. I had to rewind to them everything that was happening to me. I had to tell them, like on a particular day I called her a witch. There was a paper that we used to take to the review. So she was holding it in her hands, and then the voices in me saying, she's the one bewitching you. That's why she's holding your paper for Chinama Hills. And then when she dropped it, she said she's scared because you found out that she's holding it. But these were things that were happening in my head. She didn't know. She just noticed that I hated her. I didn't want her anywhere near me because I didn't explain. So she was wondering until she heard that I was calling her a witch. Then she said, no wonder she's been behaving like that. But then after I got my sanity back, I had to explain to her how I got those voices, what made me change my behavior towards her. and how I called. In fact, all the people that I told, I had to call them back to say, no, my sister was not bewitching me. This is what was happening. And sadly, one day, a certain pastor, I went to a certain church, actually said that she's the one who was bewitching me. Now, this pastor didn't know anything about mental health. For me, you can imagine after having the voices I was having, and then I go to church, then this person says, someone you are staying with in the house is the one that is doing this to you. So they kind of confirm and make the situation bad instead of making it easy for us. So I noticed I had to explain that too when I told her. I know she was very bitter. She was in pain. She had to go to this pastor to see him. She wanted to confront him, but the pastor hid and he was nowhere to be seen. She's never seen him up to today. So all I'm saying is there were all these voices I was hearing and behaving a certain way. I was acting strangely most of the times because of what I was feeling and the voices I was hearing. So the voices I was hearing were so real. And I was following everything they were telling me. If they tell me to do something, I'll have to do it. If they say something about a person, I'll believe it and I'll act a certain way. So how she's doing now, I think there's still a lot of damage control that I'm still doing. She has come to understand that I was sick, and we've cried together, we've reconciled, we've laughed together, and the relationship is very good as I speak. She's actually watching, if I'm not mistaken. So they've been a support to me when I was sick, before I was sick, even now when I'm doing anything, they're very supportive. Yes.
Wow.
That's
Kudos to
incredible.
your sister. Yes, absolutely. And really serious mental illnesses, we cannot have mental health without the support of our families. Those communities that are managing these disorders, what they are really valuing and investing in is a good support system of the family to help us. Because when you are having an outer mental reality, you have to have someone who's rational on the other side saying, you are having symptoms now, you are staying up until 3 o'clock, you have an appointment, medication adherence. You're not thinking you should be taking your medication in those states. So there are family members saying, please make sure you take your medication so that you can sleep. And that is traumatic.
My sister has been like a mother. I don't know what to say, because if not for her, maybe I would have been on the street like any other woman mentally ill. She made sure she did everything she could for me to gain my sanity back. She, like you are saying, she made me drink medicine, sometimes would quarrel. I remember there was a day I nearly burnt her with beans. I nearly killed her. When the episode come, you are not in control. So this time when she sees me, sometimes she's amazed at what God can do. You can't pick anything in me if I haven't told you that I was mentally ill at some point. Unless I say it, you can't trace it. A certain element would tell that this person was once mentally ill, but for me, you can't pick it if I haven't said it.
Wow, that's great. Has she? Is there help available for caregivers? Do you know where, like, for instance, counseling? Are there free counseling centers or people that a support system for them for the caregivers as well? Because remember, they have to put their life on hold in order to take care of you.
Yeah. If I knew any, I think I would have taken my sister there, because I feel she has healed, but not completely. There's a part in her which there's a part where I can't reach because I'm the victim. So there's a certain healing that has to come. There's a certain embrace. Even if I say I'll buy her something, it would not, I don't know what word to say. It cannot match to the thing she's done for me. So unless someone counsels her, someone talks to her from another angle other than me who she was taking care of. So if there was a place like that in Zambia, I'm sure I'd have introduced her there.
Yeah.
In America, we do have NAMI, that organization. We talked about it in the past, and it's free, and people go there going through the same things, the patients, their family members,
Okay.
where, they can
Okay.
talk about it. There's power in universality, right? Instilling hope in each
Yes, there is.
and saying that you are not the only one going through this, and this is what I've gone through. So that's a huge organization. I think in every state we have a chapter of NAMI in the United States. And I think back home, where we have such stigma and people not coming out, family members are having to take care of the mentally ill at home.
Yeah.
uh,
Yes, because they are fearing. There's a lot of stigma that happens, and why they keep the sick people at home is there's this thing that people think when someone is mentally ill, then there's a witch or a wizard in the family who wants to do something with
Yeah.
money and for rituals or whatsoever. So that one is very strong, and a lot of people believe in that. And apart from that, people are not just ready to be seen with a mentally ill person going through things because they're afraid of shame. The people will be laughing at them and make them a laughing stock. So people would rather keep the mentally ill in the house, and neighbors would not know about it.
And if you don't have money to hire a car or your own transportation, now you have to take them on public transportation. That whole hassle. So there's a lot that goes with it back home.
yeah.
But
Yes.
Trudy, I know that you said that because you had a strong, or rather, they kept it quiet, so the public didn't know. But when you're coming back to your senses, there's got to be a point of me, Trudy, and people know me. I am this, I am that, and I'm to become mentally healed, and I'm a child of God. Jesus, where were you? Do you go through those emotions and just the shame of, do I even walk out? Do I hide under a rock?
The time happened when I was still having episodes. I was in my episode when that thought came. Because the time I was mentally ill, I didn't know I was mentally ill. They were just telling me that I'm sick. So they didn't tell me what the problem was. Until my neighbor actually told me to say, you are mentally ill. That's when it dawned on me. And then I got very angry. I remember telling God, I'll never worship you again. You hate me. You don't love me. After all the things I've been through as a child, as a youth, and now as an adult, how do you allow me to get mentally ill? So all the trauma I've been through has not been enough. You had to allow this to happen to me. Can you imagine the shame? I said all sorts of things, and the voices in me said, I remember that particular day I was even playing Christian voice. Then a voice in me said, just go to Findeko house. When you climb on the last floor, jump. Without knowing that I was going to commit suicide. That was suicide I was supposed to commit then. As I was listening to the voices, I realized that there are four voices. There's the voice of God, which speaks to you in a still small voice. There's the voice of man, where you hear everyone talking about what is around you or what things about you. Then there's your own voice, and there's a voice I call the devil's voice. So all these voices, I had to master them. So that day I did not go to Findeko house to jump. I had to listen to Christian voice. Then luckily someone was preaching about suicide, and that's how they said, you can't kill yourself. Then it dawned on me that I was about to commit suicide. That's how I stayed home. So yes, there was a point when I thought God didn't love me. He hated me. He couldn't just allow all this to happen. But at the same time, after gaining my sanity back, rewinding my life, all I look at is every one of us has a design in life. So in my design of life, I had to get mentally ill for me to get to the next level. If I didn't get mentally ill, I would not be here talking to you. I don't know who's going to hear this message, who's going to be encouraged. So in our journey of life, everything is designed by God. Nothing is new to him. So if he says at some point to Kesalemana, you get, you will be limping, you have to limp. If he said being mentally ill was part of my journey, I had to, for me to do the ministry and the things that maybe he's called me to do. And it makes life complete because it is in his design.
So, another way of putting it, as the purpose for which God has created you remains, so whatever detours you take in life, the end purpose remains. That's why the Bible says all things work together for good for them that love the Lord. So even what the enemy will design something to take you out, and if you give that to God, God will take that, and in spite. The intention was that it's going to bring out, God turns around and uses it, and it becomes the very same thing that is now used to save other people. Because the number of people that you reach out to, and I know that you guys have now a support group of people that have, or rather former patients. I don't know if there's some who are still having episodes that you get together in Zambia. Tell us a little bit about that group.
Well, after noticing some of the challenges I was having when I came out, what happened was, after I gained my sanity back, I started going to do different things concerning awareness on mental health. Then I did TV, radio. Then I noticed one particular day I did a radio interview in Bemba. I got close to 200 calls that day because they gave out my number. So I noticed a lot of people now were asking me questions because they thought I was a doctor. That's when I thought of forming a WhatsApp group. I said, just a place where we can talk in case someone has an episode, if we need to refer them to the doctor or a psychologist, something like that. So I formed this group that we have on WhatsApp. Although even there, people are not very open. They would rather talk to you as a person, not in the group, because the issues to do with mental health, people don't want to be associated. They don't want their stories out there because a lot is perceived concerning certain stories. So yes, we are running that story, and from that story we have about 3 to 4 people that are living with the condition. Two of them have bipolar, one of them has PTSD, and there's myself and there's another person with bipolar. So we started this activism and mental health awareness. We are slowly gaining ground. So that's what we are doing, because we've noticed that apart from ourselves, talking to ourselves and going to Chinama, when you go to Chinama, the only thing they'll tell you is they'll give you medication. They'll ask if there are side effects or not. There's not so much counseling that is done to you. There's not so much guidelines for you to follow to say, if you don't want to have episode, do A, B, C, D. These are things we discover on our own when we say, for instance, if I stress a lot, I notice that I attract episodes, so I will not stress. If I get too excited, it's a trigger. If I get too sad, if I get depressed. So there are these things I've learned as Trudy, and they work for me. But others don't know because they keep having episodes. So in the support group, these are some of the things we encourage each other to do, and we keep telling people to stay on medication, because the moment the doctor hasn't told you to stop the medication, when you stop the medication, you find that the episodes will not stop. So that's what we do.
So Brenda Chama says, thank you for choosing to be vulnerable by sharing what you went through. It's people like you who are bringing change. And to me, it's people like you who are heroes. It's very powerful because you have become the voice for those that are voiceless, because we are stigmatized, or people are stigmatized just within the family. They're close. The people who are supposed to love you unconditionally no matter what. They are the first line that tries to hide you, and then and the rest of the community just kind of follows suit. So it is indeed a very, very brave thing that you are coming. And our viewers, those of you who are in the practice or in the industry during this time, a lot of you here in the States or anywhere else around the globe, even in Zambia, it is important that we come together and form a strong support group where people can receive counseling, where in some of it will be confidential, some of it will be in a group form. But the more we advocate, the more comfortable people are going to get, and we're going to help more and more people. There are people who, with just a little bit of medication or just a little bit of counseling, their behaviors will be totally altered, and they will change how they see themselves and how their families see them, so that they are productive. Some are not, have not lost it all the way, but we face so much that we go through. I always give an example of, even those of us that are in the diaspora, you come to this country, there are so many things that we face that affect you mentally. And then we develop behaviors that people can't explain. People meet you today who knew you a year ago, 5 years ago, they can barely recognize you. You're not necessarily picking out of the trash can, but your behavior is not normal per se. You make decisions that are destructive to yourself, maybe to others. It is because we are not taking care of ourselves mentally. There's pressure to pay your bills here, pressure to help back home. How do I even get my paperwork right? How do I even get a job? There are so many different aspects. I flunked my exam. How do I get up? We spent so much money. This one, I spent money. They stole my money. Or just life. My friends are all married. Here I am, 40 something. Doesn't look like I'm ever going to get married. This is the one thing. So there are so many things. Abuse in the church. The pastor said, if you put $100 down, you spin 4 times, you get 1 million. I borrowed that $100. Now nothing has happened. There are so many angles that we could go to, but it is very, very important that we take stock of our mental health.
But Trudy, did you have any questions for me?
I'll ask the same question I've been asking, because I've noticed that people ask me and I don't know what to tell them. Those that have bipolar and those that have schizophrenia, they ask, does the illness go away? How do you maintain it? And there are some questions, I think, which I forwarded to you, which I can't remember. There were some questions, 2 or 3 of them, that some people asked.
Okay, so does we can talk more on your diagnosis. From what you've said so far, it sounds like you had depression, major depressive disorder.
Yes.
With psychosis features, and that's a real thing. So what happens with a psychotic episode? You hear voices, you see things, you can be delusional, different delusions of persecution, like Vanilla, the witch is doing that to me. That's a delusion of persecution. There's a romantic, there's grandiose, you are better, you are God, you are all this. There's paranoia, they're out to get me. So it's a basket of all these features, right? And once you have that episode, an assault actually happens on your brain and the lesion starts.
What is a lesion?
A lesion is like a sore. It's like you punch something, right? There's impact on the tissue. So it's assault on that tissue.
So like a scar tissue.
Yeah, like an injury. Let's say an injury on the tissue. So there's a lesion, your first psychotic episode. That's why it's important immediately to start taking medication so that you can prevent future episodes. Because if you have another episode in the future, you'll get very depressed and you have another psychotic episode, another assault happens. And it may be on the same part of the brain because, and then that lesion continues to grow. It gets bigger, it gets deeper, and that's when you end up being on medication for the rest of your life. If you have one episode, there are people who never, ever have an episode again. And that's called a brief psychotic episode. It'll happen one time due to trauma, stress, whatever it is, and it never happens again. But it's important that you take your medication for a long time so that there's no lesion on that brain, right? When you have schizophrenia, Is there a cure? No, there isn't cure, but it's manageable, very, very manageable. I have patients that have not had an episode for 20 something years. I manage the medication, they eat well, they exercise, sleeping, very, very important. They stay away from marijuana, alcohol, cigarettes, any of those things they don't do. They listen to their bodies, good family support system. They're aware of their symptoms, early symptom recognition, where they write. If something is off, they take note. And the family members are there to say, it's been 2 days since you've been, you okay? And then picking up the phone, I think I feel da 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 da. You think I'm okay? Then, okay, let's sit down and let's talk about this. And most of the times, these medications that are being given, they are brutal. They are brutal. They have side effects that are unbearable. Some they cause infertility, some they weight gain, cause diabetes, and high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and things like that. Tardive dyskinesia, where you are moving or your neck stays in, So patients are likely not to take the medication. So medication adherence is an issue. So those are important conversations to be having with the patients to make sure that they take their medication, because there's likelihood that you may not have another episode again if you don't have something like schizophrenia. So it's important to determine what disorder you have. Sometimes it's just a brief psychotic episode, it can go away. If it's schizophrenia, it doesn't.
Okay.
Things like bipolar disorder, if it's substance-induced bipolar or mood disorder, once you take away the aggressor, like the alcohol or whatever the substance is, the cocaine, the marijuana, and whatever, you take it away, over time, I think research shows that 18 months is how long it takes for a neuron to heal. Over time, that assault that was caused on the brain starts to go away. So I've seen where a patient after 18 months to a year, they start, weaning off of the medication because they're not doing those drugs again. So sometimes it depends on what's causing it. If we take care of the root cause, then there is resolution. But disorders like schizophrenia, to be specific, there's no cure for it, but you can absolutely manage it. And it's fascinating that I have bank managers and people who run things, who run big things, with those disorders, what do? They manage it. They manage it. They have good regimen. So that's a great question. I think you sent me a question about long-term injectables, because medication adherence back home is an issue.
Yes.
They are newer medication. They're expensive, yes. And if you're talking about, there's Abilify. I'm sure your colleagues, Abilify or aripiprazole. That's the generic name. That's a cheaper version. It's called Maintainer. It's an injectable once a month. The Invega that they were asking about, there's Maintainer, which is Sustainer, which is once a month, and Trinza is every 3 months. And those medications are very effective. They don't have as many side effects as we talked about the first generation antipsychotics, like the Haldol, where, they cause major stiffness and tardive dyskinesia, involuntary movements. These are newer, they are better. Unfortunately, they are still quite expensive. But, the medications are really getting better. Any questions on that? I saw you.
No, really. And that's where the concern is. You find that most of the people are complaining about the expense of the medication, because some medications you can't find them at Chinama. And then when you are mentally ill or when you have a mental health disorder, sometimes you find that the person is not working because of the same illness and so on. So you find that having money to get the medication is very difficult. So a lot of people, like the few that I've spoken to, the complaint and the challenge is so much on the medication. because they some medicines you don't find them at Chainama, you have to buy on your own. As a result, you find that the episodes keep coming.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, even over here, to be quite honest, most of those, like the Trinza, the Invegas that you were questioning, there are programs, there are state programs. I'm sure you've heard of Medicaid or Medicare,
Mhm.
aid, especially for low income. It will cover for those medications, because even here, not everybody can afford $3,000 per month for those injections. So there is help. There's way of getting them. It's it's saddening that mental health, if there's that much of a stigma, where does the government come in to kind of try and help the population? If ourselves are not accepting it, how do we even lobby to the government to say, this is an issue that we have? So kudos to you and your colleagues, and in the community, talking about it, and talking about the experiences that
We're
you're
going
going
through.
through.
And just being there for one another, even though you recognize that when we're not getting professional help, and instead of sitting back, you guys came together to help yourselves. Mwansa is asking, Tinta, what is the name of the organization that you mentioned? And then Mwansa also says, Trudy is a
Mwansa
powerful
is my
woman.
person.
Ah, okay. Yeah, she says Trudy is a
We
powerful
come a
woman.
long way.
Yeah, she helped Goa
She
youth prepare for a
actually is.
conference.
She's the one that actually introduced me to the lady who introduced me to my husband. She's Zambian
Oh,
based in the
awesome.
USA. Yes.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
So what
Um,
organization was she needing to know?
the organization that you talked about, that support system for caregivers and also some patients,
Oh, okay. NAMI is spelled NAMI. NAMI.
NAMI.
Just
Okay.
Google NAMI, and it's everywhere. I wonder which state she's in. I can find it for her.
Yeah. Okay. Once I reach out to Tinta or anybody on Zama Block Talk Radio, will be able to link you up with her so
Absolutely.
that we can get you the organization if need be.
Absolutely.
Um.
And I just wanted to touch on
Mhm.
the traumatic, like just having a mental illness being a traumatic on its own. It just doesn't traumatize the patient. I believe my heart goes out to your sister, because she's also traumatized. And just from
Yes.
being there, being traumatized, she could be, at risk for depression, anxiety, dealing with the
She
stigma.
started she actually started having problems, and like sometimes she would be sitting and she would say, I'm feeling like my body has left me. So I told her to say, these could be traumatic experiences you had when you were looking after me. This is why I say, if there's a place where I can take her for them to counsel her, and so that she goes through that process. I know it did a lot of damage to her emotionally and mentally, because at some point she said she wanted to kill herself. So
Mm,
there are all these emotions which have never come out,
mm-hmm.
Yes.
especially that she was all alone while looking after me when there were other people that should have helped. So she felt, I see that loneliness in her a lot. But sometimes I don't know how to help. I don't know where to take her. I don't know who can help.
Okay. Wow. What we as we come to the conclusion for today, we are definitely going to be back and continue with you, Trudy. There's so much more to uncover. I feel like today we have just been kind of greeting each other and just saying hi, how are you, as we begin to unpack. But there is so much, and mental health is real. Mental health issues are real, and these are things that people are having to live with every single day, whether I recognize them or you do not recognize them. There are so many different angles and avenues and ways in which we're affected that we definitely won't be able to cover it in one sitting. But in closing, Trudy, one question that lingers for me is just, where do you get, or how do you get your resilience, your fight, your will to just go on? Because experiencing what you've experienced, And even just like Mwansa said, Trudy is a powerful person, and people that know you. Because for me, just from what I know of you from the time that we met, and if you remember, it's that time then you had just gotten your first knitting machine, and the man was trying to get it away from you after you had fixed it, and you just started making stuff. But the fight that you had in you, is very, very admirable. But how do you pick up the pieces and keep on living? Just speak to somebody who may feel like, I'm nobody, this is it, and just encourage them so that they too can find it with somehow to keep on fighting for themselves and just living and thriving. Trudy, can you hear us, or is she frozen? I think it looks like she has frozen. Any last words on Tinder? But it is so wide. But one of the programs that we need to do is just maybe we need to reach out to our medical practitioners in Zambia, those that are in the mental health space, and be able, and then also have you and maybe one or two others from here, so that we can interact and see how we serve our this particular community.
Absolutely, because there is a gap. It's very evident there is a gap. I'll just take one moment. I think in her group, they wanted to know that I think part of the fear to admit that there is mental illness is the fear that then people assume that they will have psychosis, or whatever the term may be. And the major question they were asking in her group was, if I have mental illnesses, will it lead to psychosis? Or people see me at night. The answer is no. Not every mental illness leads to psychosis. There are some, which are few actually, that do, like schizophrenia, bipolar, major depressive disorder. Those will, and schizoaffective disorder, but not every mental illness leads to psychosis and having the face of ball font. I hate that word, So let's come out. Let's talk about it. It's so prevalent. How many people have mental illnesses, and sometimes a simpler, not complicated mental illness, can lead to major illnesses
if not managed.
Exactly. So let's manage it. And it really, sometimes it doesn't take so much. It's sleeping on time, listening to your body, eating right, just stop constantly worrying, living in the present, not living when I have that, I'll be happy. When I do that, I will do that. Like, no, live in the now and appreciating where you are. Now, I know it's easily said when you live in America, we think, there are a lot of opportunities. If you live elsewhere, you don't. So you got to go. But that is not healthy.
Well, one thing for me on Tinta is, first of all, when we understand that there are people in high offices, high position, exceedingly successful in business, some even in ministry, we've known that are on medication and stuff like that, and just in society, has a functional family, has a functional life, and because they get help, nobody even knows or can even notice that this is what they live with. And so maybe the bridge, I know that our friends back home in Zambia, they assume when we approach and say, how can we help? They assume we are saying we are better than you. No, it's not that we say we are better than the professionals that are in Zambia. I know for a fact that we have very, very highly trained, highly qualified, but you're limited in your capacity or the resources that you may have at your fingertips. That is the gap that we say, how can we help? How can we help fill that gap? Because we are living in a nation that's got, not necessarily they have excesses, but they have the ability to take care of their situations, but also lend a hand. So is there a way that we can help fill in some of those gaps in the back home in Zambia? That is all that we are saying. So when we approach you, we're not coming to say you've been doing a bad job, you don't know what you're doing, don't know the job. No. As a matter of fact, some of the things we will learn from you, and what we learn there, we can even apply here. So, that is our plea. When we come on the Blog Talk Radio, we are not trying to say we are better than anybody. It is to shine a spotlight on things that our people and we go through as human beings, period. And then also to help show people what gaps there are in society, so that perhaps somebody could be watching, or somebody could know somebody who knows somebody who can fill that gap that is missing in some of our friends, whether here or back home. You could just say, hey, you guys in America are missing this. Here's what you have. The issues of loneliness are real here, because you come out to live here, your family is back in Zambia. Loneliness is real. When you experience somebody passes back home, you can't just hop on a plane and fly over to Zambia. You know, there's so many things that we also deal with. That's why we are taking stock of our own mental health to ensure that we are healthy. You know, and as preachers, as a pastor, and I've been in the ministry for many years. I am not one of those people who are ashamed, who thinks everything is about deliverance and demonic. God uses medical health as much as I believe in the laying on of hands and people recovering. Everywhere I go, my kids know. Anytime they come to me with an issue, the first thing is, did you pray? You know, first things, let's pray. Then let's go look at other things. So we're not talking about not believing in faith in God. Viewers, that is our program for today. We join us again next week, same time, same place, Zambia Block Talk Radio. Remember to buy your tickets for the Kaumba ceremony. Amen. It is going to be powerful. Buy a ticket, get to Dallas, and have a blessed and productive rest of your weekend and next week. And remember to take care of your mental health. I am AC Mlenga, Pastor AC. God richly bless all of you. We are praying for you. If you have any needs, any issues, send us a message. We are here to serve our community. God bless you. Shalom, shalom, and hopefully see you in Dallas.
Hey guys, Mr. Dancers here.
Join us for an unforgettable night of rhythm and culture at the Kaumba Diaspora Gala, featuring a mesmerizing dance showcase by us celebrating Zambian tradition. Save the date, April 13th, 2024, and make your way to the Park Plaza Tower on North Central Expressway, Dallas, Texas.
Immerse yourself in the vibrant energy as we bring the spirit of Zambia to life on stage. Don't miss this spectacular event and get your tickets now and be part of a celebration like no other.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.